Hi everyone, the holidays are here and I'm asking for your help to put smiles on the faces of the children this season. All through this month and until December 8th, I'm running a Toys for Tots fundraiser. Donations can be made through my Ko-fi page, and all funds raised will go to purchasing toys for children in need this holiday season. Click the link in the description below and help give a child a Merry Christmas. Click the link in the description below and we can all be Santa Claus this year. Hello everybody, Mac here. Welcome back to the show. Now, if you think I sound bad, you should feel it from this side. There was a lot more that I wanted to get done this week, but Mac has been laid up in bed with a 102-degree fever. It just broke the other day, and I'm still not feeling 100% right now, but I wanted to get this video out in time for Friday, and we'll talk about why in a minute. But what we are taking a look at today is Super 7 Ultimates Heisei Biollante 1989. This is one of the two figures from their first wave of Godzilla Ultimates. Of course, the other one being Godzilla, hence Godzilla vs. Biollante. Now, I wanted to get this out in time for Friday because Friday is the premiere of Monarch Legacy of Monsters, a show on Apple TV that I am very excited about. And I don't get excited about TV shows that often, but this show, you probably know I'm a big fan of the Monsterverse. If you've been watching the show, you know I'm a big fan of the Monsterverse, big fan of Godzilla, and I feel like this show is just going to fit a really nice niche within the Monsterverse, that it's going to give us a little bit of backstory on Monarch. It's going to give us some backstory on what, like, the humans actually know and don't know about the monsters. Maybe some backstory, some more backstory on Godzilla, maybe the Mutos, and I'm just looking forward to it. There's going to be some new monsters. I bet there's going to be some old monsters. I think it's going to be really good. There's a lot of potential, and I'm really looking forward to it. Now, as far as this girl goes, this is one of the more unique monsters from the Godzilla's Rogues Galley? Monster Galley? I don't know. And I also know that she is my godson's number 2 favorite, I believe. I know what his number 1 is, and that one hasn't arrived yet, but it is on pre-order, and when he's coming, we will discuss, and when he gets here, we will discuss that. But I believe Biollante is his number 2, and with good reason. Like I said, Biollante is a very unique beastie. But first, let's take a look at the packaging here. That this is just a really cool textured, scaled slipcover packaging for the figure. We have Heisei Biollante 1989 on the bottom right here. This kanji, I can't actually read it, but I know it reads left to right, so I'm assuming this says Godzilla versus Biollante. If anybody knows for certain, please tell me if I'm wrong, correct me. On the side and all around, this scaled pattern continues. Same thing with up top. On the bottom, we just have a little bit of barcode. And on the back here, we have Godzilla versus Biollante in the English. So if we turn this around and we pull the slipcover off, we can get a peek inside. Come on. We can get a peek inside at our girl. And she looks awesome. Look at that. That looks fantastic. I love the colors. I love how it stands out, how the red rose stands out against the dark body. I think that just looks really cool. We have a big window right here so you can see her. The accessories inside, there's another head sculpt you can see up there. The window does not go around to the sides completely, just a little bit so you can see like the open chompy chompers. And then the back right here, we have a still shot from the movie, and then Godzilla vs. Biollante, 1989. The Godzilla Heisei era lasted from 1984 to 1995. This era was also nicknamed the Versus series in Japan due to the word versus being used in most of the film's titles. The Heisei era of Godzilla films follow a different continuity from the Showa films, ignoring every movie except the original 1954 Godzilla. These films all take place in a single timeline featuring a technologically advanced humanity combating Godzilla and other giant monsters. That's what I love about like the Godzilla movies. There's like different timelines, but all of them start at 1954. Like all of them mark this as like Genesis, and then all of the different film timelines spring off of that. I think that is really cool. I think the only one, or the first one that broke this was actually the Monsterverse. And I don't think Shin Godzilla tied into 1954. I think Shin Godzilla was its own thing as well. So that is what we have. So, without further ado, let's get her open, let's get her out of the box, and let's take a look at Super 7 Ultimates Godzilla Heisei Biollante. And remember, if you want to get Biollante for yourself, you can get her at Entertainment Earth. Entertainment Earth is your one-stop shop for all toys, clothing, collectibles, and more. Get the newest from Hasbro, Mattel, Bandai, and Super 7, as well as exclusives that can't be found anywhere else. With over 25 years in the business, Entertainment Earth has what you want. Click the link in the description below. Okay, here she is, our beautiful lady out of the box, and putting the tape measure to her, we can see that she is not quite 8.5 inches, more like 8.25 tall to the top of her rose right here. Maybe 8.5 to the top of this leaf. Now, the first question people may ask is, why this version of Biollante? Why wouldn't they go with her final form? I believe there's two reasons why Super 7 chose to go with this stage and not her final stage. The first being that her final stage is huge. Her final form towers over Godzilla. You even saw that in the still on the back of her box, that she was towering over him, chomping on his head. And that's not to say creating something that big is outside the realm of possibility for Super 7. And that's not to say that eventually they won't create Biollante's final form in figure form. But I think for a starting point, starting off, they wanted to sort of keep it tame. That they wanted to keep Biollante and Godzilla at roughly the same height, so as they don't like scare people off right from wave one. The other reason, I think, is because this is actually a more interesting look for Biollante than her final form. Her final form is basically just like Godzilla with tentacles. This, a monstrous rose, is much more interesting and unique, I think. And I feel like those may be the two reasons why Super 7 went with this design rather than her final form. Now, taking a look at this design, let's bring her up close. We'll have to turn her over on her side. Let's bring her up close and take a look at the sculpt. There's not much as far as detail until you get to the trunk right here, where with as dark as this is, let me see if we zoom in on it, if we can get a better look right here. But for as dark as this is, you may not be able to see all of the detail through the camera. But there is like a lot of like texturing, sort of like almost bark work in this mottled green right here. Also in her heart sac right here. This is very squishy, but it has that sort of like honeycombed look as well with this translucent plastic right here. I really like the look of it. I really like the texturing that they did on the leaves right here. And this wash on the paint job just really makes the detail on the leaf work stand out. I wish there was a bit of a wash on the rose, because when you look at the dark of the main trunk right here, and then you look at the wash on the leaves right here, this is kind of bland. It's just a very bland, stark red that I think this could have benefited from a wash. I also really like the yellowing of her teeth, not just for the Venus flytraps, but for the rose chompers as well. There isn't much in the way of articulation in the trunk. Like, there is a swivel right here, which I guess would be her waist. Let's set her back down. There is a bit of a swivel here, which would be her waist. Whoop. Oh, her leaf popped off. Is there articulation in there? No, no. Okay. Where did this come off from? All right. Well, just be careful of that the leaves they are pegged in there and they will pop off. But there is articulation there at the waist. Also, she has her head on a ball joint that she can't really look up. She can kind of look down, and there is, this range of motion side to side a little bit. And it will do that if you want it to. Now, the vines, on the other hand, there are various points of articulation in the vines. All of them have a swivel and a hinge at the root where it plugs into the main trunk. Now, some of these longer ones, mainly the ones with the Venus flytraps at the end, have multiple points of articulation that you have where it plugs into the body. You have a swivel and a hinge right here. You have another swivel and hinge right there. And then the heads themselves are on a swivel. And then the jaws will articulate up and down, but they will also articulate from side to side. So you can get some real interesting, like, chomping poses out of her. Now, something else that I noticed, and I don't know if it's designed to be like this or if I'm breaking my toy, but you can pop all of the vines out of their sockets and mix and match and put them where you would want to put them on her to give her a unique look. So that you can customize the design of how she is displayed. I think that's really interesting. I think that's a really cool touch. I do hope that feature was intended to be there, and I'm not just ripping things apart, because I do think that is a very, very cool feature. It sort of makes up for the lack of articulation, that you can rearrange these vines to get a specific look that you want out of her. Something else that I saw that I was very amused at is they gave her a peg hole down here on the bottom. Good job, guys. Now, as far as accessories go, she doesn't have much in the line of accessories. Let's put these back the way they belong for now. But then again, what else, like, how many accessories do you expect a monster to come with? So, she has this head sculpt right here, but then she has an additional head sculpt that it's basically the same rows, it's basically the same flower patterns, that the only difference is teeth open, teeth closed. So you can just pop this off. It's on a ball joint. You can see right there. It's actually on a dumbbell joint right there. And then you just pop the new one on. It doesn't really pop. It just sort of pushes on. But there you go. Mouths open, ready to chomp, ready to, like, go at it with the big G. Now, also, the fly traps, they will pop off. They pop off at that articulation point, at that elbow right there. And what you get are a two-piece set that these will actually, like, it has a way that these, there you go, are supposed to, like, look like they were fit together. Like that. But this just goes on the vine. This goes on the vine, and it does have an elbow joint right there. And then this is just dead. There's no articulation. There's no nothing. It's just like Big G ripped off one of the chompers and tossed it to the wayside. And she's in some pain. She comes with a replacement for both of them. And that is what you get. That's it. I don't have a problem with that. I think that's a cool accessory. And when we open up Godzilla, we'll see how they go together. Because I'm sure you know that when they were selling these in sets, Godzilla versus Biollante, they're made to be displayed together. They're made to be fighting each other. That we'll see some accessories with the Godzilla figure that go with Biollante to get them into some battle poses, into some combat poses, let you sort of recreate some moments from the movie. And now for size comparison, here she is beside Super 7 Ultimates SDCC 2023 exclusive Godzilla King of the Monsters, and the McFarlane Toys Collect-to-Build Starro. Here she is beside another McFarlane DC Multiverse figure, the Anti-Monitor, and Hasbro's Power Rangers Lightning Collection. I can't remember his name. I want to say King Sphinx? Here she is beside Jada Toys' Universal Monsters, the Creature from the Black Lagoon, and Frankenstein's Monster. And finally, here she is beside NECA Toys, Dungeons & Dragons, Warduke, and Grimsword. I really need an Ultraman figure. So I apologize if it seems like this video was rushed or if there's not much to it, but there's two factors at play here. One, I honestly don't know how long my voice is going to hold out. And two, and this isn't a bad thing towards the figure, there's just not much to talk about with her. Once you get past the sculpt, once you get past the paint apps, once you get past the unique design, you saw there's not a whole lot as far as articulation goes, and there's not a whole lot as far as accessories goes. Now, to me, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I really like Biollante. I really like the Godzilla series of monsters. I can understand why some might want a little bit more bang for their buck, let's say, but for me, I really dig this figure. I am really, really excited about the Ultimates line of Godzilla figures. And that's saying something, because I have never been excited about Super 7 Ultimates ever. Not even the G.I. Joe. As a matter of fact, the G.I. Joe Ultimate that I did get, the SDCC, I think it was last year's 2022 exclusive, the Blue Bat, it wasn't impressive to me. And I really didn't think I was ever going to get, I didn't think I was going to be a guy that would, go in on an Ultimates line until this line of Godzilla figures came out. I like them because there's not much that you need in articulation for Godzilla kaiju style monsters, and Super 7 is not known for their articulation. What they are known for is their sculpt and their paint apps, and that is what you're looking for with kaiju, because you're not going to have Godzilla doing high kicks or running sprints or anything like that. You're going to put two monsters against each other, and they're just going to punch and bite until one of them is dead. And that's really all you need these figures to convey. They're big, they're chunky, there's some decent size to them, and I think they look really good. I honestly like them better than the NECA ones that came out, and I kind of like them better than the Monster Arts figures, because I feel like the Monster Arts figures get a little too wrapped up in the articulation of them that you kind of just lose that sense of mass and intimidation that giant freaking kaiju should have. As far as Biollante goes, I like the paint apps. I like the wash on the leaves. I like the sculpt of her trunk. The only complaint I have, and it's not even a complaint, it's a personal preference, maybe a bit of a nitpick, is I wish there was a wash on the rose to make the detail in the rose, to make the different petals, the different layers of the rose stand out a little bit more, because as it is with that flat red, it's just all kind of lost, I feel. Also, I get that they wanted to give us two head sculpts, I get that, but one open, one closed. I feel like they could have just given us one sculpt with a mouth open and then maybe put in a few more accessories. I'm not entirely sure what they would put in, but I feel like I would have sacrificed one of the head sculpts to get something a little extra out of it. I don't know quite what off the top of my head, but I don't know, those two head sculpts, I feel like they could have just given us one and hinged the jaw so that the mouth would open and close on its own. Thank you for bearing with me and listening to my awful, awful voice today. Also, once again, I want to thank you all for the increased engagement. It is really, it's really great what you guys have been doing. I really love it. I try and get back to the comments as much as possible. I really appreciate it, so definitely keep commenting, keep liking the video, share it with people if you think they'd be into it. Also, don't forget, I am running that Toys for Tots fundraiser. We're at about 33%, and I think we're maybe halfway through at this point. So check that out. There will be a link to that in the description below, as well as the pinned comment. And feel free to comment about more than just this figure. Feel free to let me know if you're watching Monarch Legacy of Monsters too. I really want to know who's watching that. I think this is going to be cool. I think it would be cool to talk to somebody about it. I'm really into it. Let me know what you think. So until next time, my friends, play well, stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, thank you for watching.